Hi everybody, Dan Ullman, Mike Beer for Weekend Wrap, taking a look back at last Saturday's Grade 1 Man-O-War Stakes, going 1 3/8 on the inner turf, and the mare put on a show. They break from the gate, and Mike, this was just a boggy turf course, and the number 4 Zukova loved it.
Yeah, she came in with form on off ground. You knew that she would handle it. Bear with us here. This opening mile is going to take a while. These horses are absolutely crawling on the front end, and Zukova just takes up a nice tracking spot here.
Charming Kitten, one of 2 in here for trainer Michael Maker, is going to make the front. But one of the great assets that Zukova has is that, unlike many European horses, she's handy. She can be placed wherever the jockey wants. She's not this one-run closer that's going to miss the break and thus be at the mercy of race and pace luck. She can put herself right into the race, especially when the pace is this slow.
Yeah, they're walking here. I mean, even the deep closers in this race, horses like Sadler's Joy are right up close in here just because they're just crawling. But you're right about her style. You can go back and pull any of the replays for any one of her races in Europe. This is the trip she gets every time over there. She sits right up close to the pace. And then when they come into the stretch and they ask her to run, she runs.
Now, Zukova was only a multiple Group 3 winner overseas, but take that with a grain of salt. She beat some very good horses over there.
Yeah, she did. She beat Found in one of those races. She beat Males a couple of different times. Her first start this year off the left, she beat a good field. This is a really, really nice mare. I mean, and she just absolutely destroys this field in the stretch.
Taghlib is chasing 3 wide. He is just as honest as the day is long. He probably isn't your true Grade 1 horse, but yet he's another typical Michael Maker reclamation project that has excelled in these longer distance races. He's not as good as Zukova, but he tried really hard for second.
That's true. Nothing to knock about him. He got that old 3 wide trip out there the entire way. He tries in the stretch. He can't go with her. I don't know. I'm not taking anything away from him. I don't even think he ran the second best race in here, but he got second in this race. He's a nice, hard-trying horse.
Here's Zukova. As we saw in her races in Europe when we were handicapping this race, she has a very quick burst of speed. She's going after Charming Kitten, and she's fairly well overwhelming Charming Kitten right now. And Taghlib is pretty much shell-shocked as well. They can't keep up with Zukova's turn of foot. And meanwhile, Sadler's Joy, arguably the best closer in the race, is bottled way up.
Yeah, he got in behind horses here, and he's not even going to get clear until they get down past mid-stretch. Once they get him out to the outside and fully clear, he comes with a little bit of a run here. He just misses second. I thought he was unlucky not to be second. He was never going to go with this thing on the front end. Look at her stride out to the wire here, Dan. On this turf course, and I know that they walked early, this turf course, last 8th and 12 flat, this filly can run.
And that's with flashing her leads a couple of times in the stretch, which is what she does all the time in Europe. She's won 70% of her starts, and she's a very, very exciting prospect. A daughter of Fastnet Rock, who stands at Coolmore, Ireland. This horse was a buyback, a $912,000 buyback as a yearling. The dam won the Irish 1,000 guineas, so a lot of class here, and a great international trainer in Dermot Weld, who says he'd love to bring this one back for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf at Del Mar, where it's highly unlikely she'll get the same sort of conditions she received at Belmont.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens if they come back. I hope they come back. She looks like a pretty good mare, but it will be totally different, not only as far as the pace goes and the competition goes, because as much as I like Sadler's Joy horses like that, this wasn't the strongest Man-O-War in the world. So she'll face some better horses, and she'll do it over what you would think would be fast ground. And her connections have already said a couple of times they don't really think she likes that much.
Charming Kitten had some excuses in here. The wet turf course, he might not be as good as Zukova, but do you think this race does set him up for that 2-mile Belmont Gold Cup? Ever since he's come back from overseas, he's run okay, but not at the standard that we saw before he went on that excursion.
Yeah, that's true enough. I liked a couple of his races since he came back. This wasn't one of his better ones. I mean, he just got buried by her in the stretch, but he's okay. The 2-mile race, that's a good distance for him. He's won a couple of times that distance already.
While Zukova's best asset is her tactical speed, Sadler's Joy's best asset is his stretch kick. And he kicked here once he got clear in the lane. I still think he's upwardly mobile, but is he truly a Grade 1 type of horse?
I think we'll find out as time goes on. I sort of feel like he is, and we'll see what happens in these long-distance turf races as the year goes on. I think he fits well in those races, and he's going to catch, hopefully a little more pace and some firmer ground. He'll come running in some of those races. I think he can go with the better long-distance horses.
Can we simply draw a line through Wake Forest's non-effort in here? I mean, we've never been his biggest fan, but he's not this bad.
No, I mean, he just didn't run at all. I mean, you just have to feel like he didn't like this ground at all. He'll run better wherever he shows up next time, but he's still Wake Forest. He's not that good.
But the story of this race was Zukova, who made a mockery of the Grade 1 Man-O-War in her North American debut. She received a 107 Beyer speed figure. It appears she'll go back to Europe for a start in the Yorkshire Oaks in August, and then perhaps, just perhaps, we'll see her at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf.